Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. Today we're going to talk about Ethereum, the flippening. If you guys like the content, please subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and also check out the Telegram channel, which you can find a link to in the description below. Also check out the sale on the premium list. You can find a link to the sale, the bull market sale, in the description below. Let's go ahead and jump in. If you're new to crypto, you might wonder, what is the flippening? Well, the flippening is this idea of what happens if Ethereum overtakes Bitcoin's market capitalization. Okay, so right now, Bitcoin is not in any danger of being flipped. Ethereum is not even 50% of Bitcoin's current market capitalization. But in the grand scheme of the market cycle, I feel like there's a high probability that Ethereum gets a lot closer than it currently is at flipping Bitcoin's market cap. Now, I don't say that lightly, and over the years, a number of people have asked me, can Ethereum flip Bitcoin this market cycle? And, you know, I've been very careful how I responded to that, and I'll say the same thing here again. You know, the chances that it actually flips it in a sustained way, like meaning like it just continues to go up and not pull back, this cycle, I think, are relatively low. You know, the idea that it goes above it and stays above it permanently. Okay, I feel like the odds of that are relatively low. However, is there a chance that for a moment in time, at the very least, Ethereum could flip it? I would say the probability is non-negligible. So there is a non-negligible probability that Ethereum at some point could theoretically overtake Bitcoin this market cycle. But if it does, I don't think it would hold it. I don't think that it would actually hold that for very long. But of course, we'll see what happens. It's really hard to predict these major things because, you know, when the market cap is coming in at, say, like 20% of what Bitcoin's is, it seems like it's nowhere close. Then you get to 50% and you're like, all right, let's talk about it. 75%, 80%, you really start to have to think about it. So we're going to go on a bit of a journey here, provide some history for everyone so that you kind of know what has been possible in the past and what to keep an eye out for. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at the market cap now, which is about 477 billion for Ethereum, and for Bitcoin it's about 1.061 trillion. Now, I did this calculation a moment ago when these numbers were very, very slightly different, but they haven't changed a whole lot. And you can see that right now, Bitcoin's market capitalization is approximately 2.23 times that of Ethereum. Okay. Another way to look at it, if you go take the Ethereum market cap divided by the Bitcoin market cap, you can see we're currently coming in at around 45%. So Ethereum's market cap is around 45% of Bitcoin's. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to try to understand the ideal scenario that Ethereum could flip Bitcoin in. What would be that ideal scenario? Well, it would be after Bitcoin is put in a new all-time high and it's in a dead cat bounce. That would be the ideal time. And when I say, well, what does this mean? What is he talking about? Why would Ethereum be flipping Bitcoin at a time when Bitcoin's not doing well? Well, look at these historical snapshots on CoinMarketCap. This was taken from December 17th, 2017. The market cap of Bitcoin, this was the day that Bitcoin hit its peak, close to 20K. The daily close was at 19,140 or so. Look where Ethereum's market cap was with respect to Bitcoin's. Ethereum's was around 69 billion 409 million. Okay. And Bitcoin's was at 320 billion. So if we were to take the market cap then and divide it by Bitcoin's that very day at Bitcoin's peak, where would it have come out to be? Well, the market cap would have come out to be the market cap relative to Bitcoin's around 21.65%. So not really that high. And at that time, you know, the idea of Ethereum flipping Bitcoin didn't seem as likely. But then something happened. Because despite the fact that Bitcoin came down at that point, it then had a dead cat bounce here that you can even barely see today. It had a dead cat bounce right here. And in that moment in time, Ethereum went crazy. Okay? So we're going to go from our historical snapshot on December 17th, 2017 to January 13th, 2018. And on January 13th, 2018, we see a completely different story. Bitcoin's below its prior all-time high. You can see Bitcoin's at 14K, but Ethereum has gone up like crazy. Ethereum over here was at 719. Bitcoin dropped by about $5,000 and Ethereum did a 2x. So if you take it now, if you measure the difference now, or we take, say, just this move here, what do we notice? Hey, they're a lot closer. It's a lot more than 20%, is it not? It's a lot more than 20%. And what you'll see is that, in fact, it was around 56%. So then you start wondering, well, if Ethereum can go to 56% of Bitcoin's market cap, what happens if it goes another 2x and Ethereum goes another 2x and Bitcoin does relatively nothing? What happens in that case? Well, then you would have Ethereum flipping Bitcoin. But here's the thing that a lot of people don't realize. This was not the day that Ethereum hit its peak dominance. This was not the day. It was not the day of Ethereum's all-time high. And the best way to look at that is to look at the fact that Ether USD peaked on January 13th. But that's not when Ether Bitcoin peaked. Ether Bitcoin at the time peaked on like February 1st or so at the time. So, and again, this is based on the Ethereum Bitcoin valuation. There's also a lot of altcoins that play a role as well. But at the time, Ether Bitcoin peaked a couple weeks later, which happened to be after Ether USD's all-time high. Okay, so after Ethereum hit an all-time high against USD, it was a couple weeks later before it hit an all-time high against Bitcoin. Why is that? Well, remember, it wasn't until Bitcoin fell below its bull market support band on the week of the 29th that Ethereum Bitcoin started to show signs of weakness. On the week of the 29th of January 2018. What was happening to the Ether Bitcoin valuation on that week? Well, remember, on the week of January 29th, 2018, okay, January 29th, 2018, that was where the Ether Bitcoin peak was, and that's where it hit its peak. That's where Ethereum hit its peak dominance against Bitcoin. Where was it? Well, here you can see Ethereum was at 135 billion, Bitcoin was at 241 billion, coming in hot at approximately 56%. But then, a couple weeks later, Bitcoin was at 154 billion, Ethereum was at almost 101 billion. What is this dominance? Okay, what is this dominance? So 101 billion almost, divided by a very modest 154 billion by Bitcoin. What do you get? You get about 0.65 by the daily close. You get about 65% by the daily close. And you can see that here on this chart. This shows the Ethereum market cap divided by the Bitcoin market cap. And you can see it actually went up to about 72% on the wick. By the close of the day, it was closer to that, that 65% or so. But you can see just how close Ethereum came. I mean, it wasn't that far out of the question. I mean, if Ethereum had gone up 50% or so, it would have come really close to flipping Bitcoin. About a little over 50% from the current, from that market cap at the time, that it could have done it. And what kept it from doing it was Bitcoin lost confidence. Bitcoin fell below the 20-week moving average for the first time on the weekly time frame, for the first time since October of 2015. And that was in January of 2018. For the first time, it fell below the 20-week. Ethereum lost all the confidence in the world. The Ethereum Bitcoin valuation bled like crazy, and here we are. And now we look at the Ethereum Bitcoin valuation and we can see it's moving up relatively quickly. Now remember, looking at these valuations is not necessarily fair because you have to consider the fact that the supply is not constant. For us to get to an all-time high of the Ether Bitcoin valuation, we would need to go up another 112% or so. But to get to an all-time high in terms of the market cap, Ethereum does not need to go up that much with respect to Bitcoin, not nearly as much, only about 60%. Only about 60% to get to a new all-time high in terms of the market cap of Ethereum relative to Bitcoin's. So there's a complete, it's a completely different story, and I would encourage everyone to consider the market capitalization from time to time rather than just considering the price, because it's ultimately the market cap that dictates a lot of things. This is how we're able to do realistic price predictions. A lot of people throw out these like crazy numbers for a lot of altcoins, and it's like, hey, do you realize that if the market cap went to that, it would be like, the market cap on your favorite altcoin would be in the quadrillions for it to get to this valuation that would make you a millionaire. And so you have to consider that market cap plays a role. It's not just the price. It's not just the price. So I'll say it again. Can Bitcoin be flipped by Ethereum this market cycle? I would like to lean probably not. But the chances that Ethereum does it in a non-sustained way, anyways, are not negligible. And it is possible, and the way that it would happen would be exactly in a time frame like this, when Bitcoin is below its prior all-time high. It's in a bounce, but it hasn't put in a new all-time high. It's not exceptionally bearish at this point. It's still well above the 20-week moving average. Now, I don't think Ethereum's going to do it in this move. I mean, we're in an Ethereum tsunami right now. But imagine a future tsunami. Imagine when Bitcoin is at like 140K, and then it dumps back down to 100K, and then Ethereum goes on some spectacular rally or something. Could it happen for a moment in time? It seems like there is a chance that it's possible. I do not think that this market cycle will necessarily see a sustained move by the Ethereum market cap over Bitcoin's. It's too early to say about future cycles. I think it's too early to say about future cycles. Obviously, the narrative is there for both ways, whether it being Ethereum has all this utility that's going to bring different types of value than, say, the Bitcoin store value narrative, which, I mean, is a good narrative. I mean, I buy into that narrative, let me be clear. And I own more Bitcoin than Ethereum, let me be clear about that too. But something tells me at some point during this market cycle, probably not going to be this month, probably not going to be in 6 months, but at some point, I think we're going to be seriously speculating on, can Ethereum flip Bitcoin's market cap? Okay, can it flip it? And that doesn't mean it will. There's plenty of sub-asset classes within crypto that I've seen, like the number one launch. It does really well. Then you have all these copycat projects that come out, and they sort of do well. But anytime they get anywhere close to the actual, the number one of that, of that sub-asset class or whatever, they tend to pull back before that time. So it's easy to fall for the narrative. So I don't think Ethereum can flip Bitcoin in the short term, even in a very short term, like even if it's just like a quick candle or something, a quick wick or something. I don't think it can. Later this cycle, maybe later this cycle, if we have if Bitcoin's gone up another 2x or 3x or something, has a major pullback, then Ethereum does something crazy again. Maybe at that point, there's a lot of maybes, right? Maybe at that point, for a moment in time, we'll see it. Now, what would be the implications of such a thing? Well, I think that we might underestimate the implications of something like that. How do you convince? If the whole idea behind Bitcoin is that it's the number one, the store value of crypto, it controls the asset class, it might make it harder to convince institutions. About the store value if you see it being flipped by what's technically an altcoin. Okay, now I don't consider Ethereum to be an altcoin. I personally like to consider it my index for altcoins. So if I'm holding a lot of altcoins, they sure as hell better be doing Ethereum over the macro scale, because if they're not, why do you hold them if you're going to hold a riskier asset and it's never going to outperform Ethereum? So for me, I personally consider Ethereum to be my index that I benchmark my altcoin performance to. But by the strictest definition of it being anything other than Bitcoin, Ethereum would be considered an altcoin by a lot of people. And so if Ethereum is able to flip Bitcoin at any time during the cycle, it wouldn't be hard to imagine that that could actually slightly tarnish Bitcoin's reputation. Okay, it could, because then you have to explain, well, how does the king get dethroned, even if it's for a few hours? Like, how does that happen? And so, what I will say is this market cycle has turned out to be, what most people have not expected. Okay, and we've watched Ethereum, just skyrocket over the last few weeks, and we've been saying don't underestimate the Ethereum tsunami. And here we are, we're sitting at 41.55. This market cycle has certainly been, getting pretty heated, getting pretty crazy. And I think this cycle is going to have a lot more in store for us. I think there's going to be, some crazy times. There's going to be some very bearish times for Bitcoin and Ethereum. There's going to be some very bullish times for Bitcoin and Ethereum. And I think at some point later this cycle, we're going to have to seriously contend with the idea of what happens if Ethereum flips Bitcoin. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you check out the Telegram channel in the description below. Subscribe as well. Click the bell icon to turn on alerts. Also, check out the sale on the premium list, the bull market sale. You can find a link to that in the description below. If you want to know how I'm navigating the markets, you guys can check that out. Make sure you lock in the low rate. Thank you guys for tuning in. I will see you next time. Bye.